The time that I'm recording this video here, it is my last 18 days being 18, which therefore means I turn 19 in 18 days. And in this video here, I'm going to be talking about everything that I learned being 18 years old. Everything that I'm going to be talking about here today, is it probably everything? There's probably a whole lot more, but just to keep this condensed and to be able to hit on all the points I want to hit on, I listed probably the most important things here. Apart from all my videos that I've been making since 2023, this definitely will be one of the more light-hearted videos, just because in most of my videos I do go deep into theologics to an extent, and I break down verses, I do a lot of prayers and just devotionals and that whole sort of thing. In this video, it's going to be a little bit different, so I really hope you guys do like this style of content here. Of course, I'm not going to be leaving out anything spiritually that I learned or anything like that, but it will be just more resolved around just what I learned, and of course, keeping Christ in the center. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So, the very first thing that I have here, what I learned being 18, is taking initiative of all opportunities. No one's going to do it for you. If God is placing something in your life, you're going to have to step up and say, hey, I'm going to take initiative and I'm going to go apply to this job. I'm going to go talk to this person. I'm going to go pursue that thing. And this applies to all aspects of your life. And this is what I learned personally, right? Keeping this kind of centered and focused on my experiences. When it comes to, like, say, dating opportunities, jobs, I had to realize that if I like a girl, I have to talk to her. And if it doesn't go great, well, that's just life. If I want to go pursue a job, then I'm going to have to go apply to that job and possibly get an interview. But if I don't, well, then I'm not going to get that job and I'll never know the answer. Because if you don't apply, if you don't go talk to that person, if you don't do that thing, the answer by default will be no. But if you go and do that thing, and if you actually take initiative and God is placing that in your life and you've been praying about it and he has revealed it to you, well, in that case, you have about a 50-50 chance of a yes or a no, right? That's just kind of how it works because it's two options. If there's a maybe in there, well, that's kind of weird, right? But the very big thing here, it's taking initiative, right? If God is calling on you to do something, if God is placing something on your heart, and I know for my young men, for my young women out there, for even the older women and the older men that watch my videos, I know my audience is quite diverse. God may be placing stuff on your heart in different ways. With this, you have to take initiative and you have to say, hey, I'm going to go pursue that thing. I'm going to go, put my ego, put my feelings aside, put my, antisocialness aside, which isn't easy. I've been there. But you're going to have to take initiative, right? If you want something done, if you want something to be done, you have to take a step up. God isn't just going to do it for you. No one's going to do it for you. And that's probably the biggest thing that I learned here, being 18. On to the next thing. Opening up. This is a real heavy topic for me just because I've had a very hard time opening up to people about my emotions, about my feelings over the course of my entire life. A big part of my testimony and me coming to Christ is, quite frankly, my biological father departing from me. He left my life, he left my mom and my brother as well. And for the longest time, I really couldn't open up about how I felt about that and how that really took a toll on my very young life, which I'm good now. I'm healed from it and I've forgiven him, of course. But the big thing here is opening up. And the thing is even before I turned 18, I've talked about my testimony all the time, right? I've shared it at FCAs, I've shared it with people one-on-one. But even more this year, turning 18, I've probably shared my testimony and the experience and just my feelings in general a lot more to just friends, to people that I even just met, right? Just to be able to open up to a wide range of people really has been big on me. And I'm still working on this. There's still things that I just sometimes have a hard time talking about, but I am getting better. And that is something that I learned, that opening up is very crucial to how you interact with people, but it's also crucial to your own self growth and your worth, right? Like if you're not going to open up, those feelings are just going to be bottled up and you're going to constantly be clashing and fighting yourself. It is so volatile that you open up, that you talk to people, right? I got invited to Boy, Texas to share my testimony and how Christ came into my life. And this was the first time, I would say, that I did this to a bunch of people that I literally did not know. I didn't know the organizer of the event. I didn't know any of the people there, right? This was just strictly my own like kind of thing. Like I did this to a bunch of random people rather than say in the past with FCAs. I'm kind of rambling here, but I would know a couple of people in the crowd, right? I had some friends who would that I can kind of like be comfortable around. This time, like it was just completely me and like 15 other kids and people and leaders in that church. But with that, opening up is so crucial. You're able to let go of a burden, and most importantly, you're able to give it to God. But as long as the moment's right, I'm not saying just go trauma dump on everybody and tell your whole life story to someone on the street while they're eating Subway. Like, no, don't do that. But open up when the time is right, when the moment is kind of calling for it, and most importantly, as we talk about taking initiative, when God is calling on you to open up, be vulnerable about your feelings, tell your testimony. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, it can be a minute. We were learning that in FCA over the summer. That's my big thing here. 3, I have to be a better man of God, a son, a brother, a possible husband to my future wife, if that's for me and if that's what God has planned in my life. I have to be better. And I can say this specifically turning 18 because, you experience a different role, a different weight of responsibilities. Sure, I'm not saying my life is, the worst thing ever by any means, right? I still have it very good. I'm still able to, live my life. But you do take on, new things when you turn 18, right? And all of a sudden it goes from you being a kid to you being still a kid, but a kid with a lot more feelings or a lot more things to do. With this, I had to realize when it comes to things that I'm doing in my day-to-day life, things that are just normally in my routine, I have to be better. When it comes to showing up to work, early and on time, I have to be better about that, even if I don't really like being there as much. But like stuff like that. And then when it comes to talking to my parents and how I interact with them, I have to be better in that way. When it comes to my brother, I have to be, more forgiving and more patient because he is significantly, not too significantly, but he is younger than me, right? When it comes to my friends, I have to be more listening and more, I have to listen more and I have to be more patient with them when they're sharing their things rather than trying to jump the gun in every situation, right? There's a lot more things that I could dive deep into here, but that's one of the big things is I have to be better. I have to really take control of myself, not in the sense of taking God's role away, but I need to control what I can control and I have to be better in all aspects of life. Nothing too big there, but something that I have learned. I have to be better. Being willing and putting others before myself. I'm a very caring and genuine and loving person, but I will say when it comes to um, life, I know for me, I've had to learn that with all the sacrifices that my mom has made, that many others have made inside of my life, when it comes to like friends putting themselves before me or putting myself before them, I have to do the same thing. When it comes to something as little as going out and running an errand for somebody, when it comes to buying something for my brother, when it comes to even going to talking to that, homeless man who's sitting there and he's, always there at the gas station, talking to him and sharing the good news, right? I have to put others' feelings before mine. And this is a big part when it comes to Christ growing inside of you. That if you're going to experience true spiritual growth, if you're going to experience true growth inside of your day-to-day life in different buckets that you may want to categorize that into, you have to put others before yourself. And of course, this doesn't mean that you just neglect yourself. Don't do that. That'd be bad. But that you need to understand that people may need certain things. And sometimes you have to say, you know what, I'm going to put myself away for a minute and I'm going to see what that person needs. I'm going to see what that person, you know, could possibly be going through and therefore talking with them. Therefore, you had something to do that day, but your family member needs something done. Go do that thing for them. That's what I've had to done. And that's what I've had to learn multiple times. And quite frankly, there's nothing more, I would say, beautiful than that, right? Because we look at Jesus Christ as a perfect example of this. He put his life on the line for us. He put the weight of humanity on his back and said, I'm going to put you guys first before my own life. even though I did all these miraculous things and I could be praised here on earth, which, he was, people very much looked up to Jesus Christ, but he could have done it a lot longer, but there was different plans, and he put others before himself. He put his blood on the line and his body on the line for that we can live our lives, but most importantly, for we could spend eternity with Jesus Christ. And that's what I had to realize. If I want to become more like Christ, I need to be like Christ and put others before myself. But of course, I'll never do it in that extent. My next thing here, it's singleness. A big one here. Turning 18, maybe it's different for everybody else. I don't know the audience that's watching this. I know for me, I would often look at singleness as something that was a bad thing, as something that God just hated me. God was punishing me. What I had to realize about singleness, and I'm still learning this because I'm young, my brain is immature, my brain is far from being fully developed. I'm still a ding dong here and there. Is that God can use singleness in a variety of different ways. And if you're single here, God is for sure using singleness, right? This isn't something that you have to question. God is for sure building you in some type of way. God can be working on you. God can be shaping you to possibly be a future wife or a future husband down the line, if that's what he has planned for you. And that's what I had to realize, that whether I do spend the rest of my life alone, whether I do spend the rest of my life with somebody that I love, whatever the case may be, it's that God is using singleness to build you so that you can get closer to him. Because let's be honest, if you are currently taken in a relationship, it's just the truth that you're going to have less time to yourself, and you're realistically going to have less time toward the Lord because you're going to have your responsibilities tied up in that relationship. Does that make your relationship a bad thing? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying, it's when you're single, you're able to learn more about yourself. You're able to learn more about God. You're just able to learn, I would even say, more about your environment in general. I'll keep that short there. Here's a fun one. This was one I was looking forward to when I was brainstorming and writing points down for this video. Patience with yourself, patience to others. I learned this especially when I turned 18 because all of a sudden I got, in a way, moved up to more hours at my cashier and cook job. And I tell you, the people that come into my store, the customers that I have to deal with, they can be a pain. They're difficult, they can be impatient. And especially considering, I'll go on a little story here. This store that I've worked at has been under quite a few different ownerships, and I'm not going to say the name. I'm going to protect myself here. But about 8 or 10 years ago, when I wasn't even working there, I was playing Fortnite and yelling at my brother when we would both die in Fortnite, and it was really my fault. They were under a different chain of ownership. They had a different chain of command. With this, there was different things on the menu. It was ran a different way, and that whole sort of thing. Now that we're under different ownership, and I started working there in the beginning of 2024, my senior year, you get a lot of people that don't know what they want. They're constantly questioning the menu, and they're arguing and they're making a fuss about it, that it's like, why don't you guys have this, and why isn't this in season, and that whole sort of thing. And I can grow very impatient when it comes to food service. I love people. I love working with the youth and the public. But food service, if you've worked in it, it is a different type of pain. But this is something that I for sure know that God has been working on, on me inside of my life. And I had to realize that God is using this job to work on me when it comes to patience, when it comes to understanding, when it comes to listening, and that whole ordeal. Because I'm telling you guys, the people that come in there, oh man, it's worse than probably any job I've worked. But again, this is to say that patience with others it's important, right? Jesus shows patience and humility with us every single day. When we mess up, when we fall into sin, he's just waiting for us right there to come back to him and to repent, right? In the same way, when someone messes up, which again, it's a different circumstance, be patient with them. And then I'll also say, be patient with yourself. Guys, it is our first time here living on planet Earth. You got to show yourself some more humility. You have to show yourself some more grace, right? God doesn't want you to hate yourself. And he doesn't want you to hate yourself and hate yourself and hate yourself until you create another version of yourself that you hate. Because here's the thing. If you're not patient with yourself, if you don't show humility with yourself, Creating another version of yourself because you beat that other version to death isn't going to do anything, because you're just going to hate that other version more, because you're never going to be um, compliant. You're never going to be fine with yourself, because you're going to be expecting, you know, perfection out of yourself. That's not going to happen. What we have to realize is that we are imperfect. We are always going to be imperfect. With this, you have to show yourself some humility. You have to show yourself some grace and some patience. That not everything is going to get done in one full sitting, right? That you're going to mess up, that you're going to experience trials and tribulations. You're going to experience maybe even relationships that don't go the way that you thought they were going to go, and it's something that you did, right? Understand that you have to have patience. You have to show humility with yourself. My very last thing to close up this video here, it's that God moves in many ways. There's a lot of ways that God can move. And I'll say this to my young audience watching, that the indecision of going to college, to going to trade school, to jumping in the workforce, to ministering the youth, to ministering this group of people, just because you don't know what you want to do doesn't mean that you're a failure. You're young. Whether you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 20, like the list goes on. It's that in a season of confusion, God is working in that season of confusion. In a season of indecision and misdirection, God is working in those seasons. Right? God is constantly working. Know that He does not stop. With this, as we were talking about, point 6, be patient with yourself. Realize that you're not going to have it all figured out on day one, that you turn 18, that you turn 19, that you turn 20. You're not going to have everything all figured out when you get to this age or that age and that whole sort of thing. It is okay to not know what you want to do. But what it's not okay, it's not trusting in God's plan. And of course, trusting in God's plan, you do need to walk when He tells you to walk. You do need to run when He tells you to run. You need to be patient when He tells you to be patient, which should be always. With this, God can move in many ways. God can move in seasons to where you feel that everything is falling down. God can work in ways to where maybe you thought He wouldn't be able to work, right? God can work in seasons of singleness. God can work in seasons of romantic relationships. God can work in seasons to where everything's going great, to where everything's going bad. Again, God moves in many ways and in mysterious ways. With this, trust in Him. Trust in the plan that He has for you. I'll read a verse here to cap today's video off. Psalm 37, chapter 37, verse 7. Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for Him to act. Don't worry about evil people who prosper or fret about their wicked schemes, just like the people I deal with at my job. I'm just kidding. They're not evil. But with this, when we talk about God moving in many ways, be patient in the ways that He may be moving, right? If you feel that maybe God isn't doing a whole lot, which God is always doing something, wait for Him. Wait for God to move. Wait for God to give you that next signal to go after the thing that you need to go after. And just know, guys, God is the same yesterday, the same today, and the same tomorrow. There is a verse. I just came up with that on the fly. But God is just. God is always going to be the same. God is there for you, and He does not want to see you suffer. Or God doesn't want to see you hate yourself, right? God doesn't want to see you in a bad mood. God doesn't want to see you in a lot of different ways. And sometimes, though, we're going to experience those things as growing adults, even teenagers, even people who aren't teenagers who may be watching this. Just know that, guys, Jesus loves you so much, and He has a plan for you. Trust in Him, acknowledge Him in all of your ways, and He'll make your path straight. That's a verse in the book of Proverbs 3:5-6. I appreciate you guys tuning in. It was definitely a crazy year for sure. There's a lot of things that happened when I turned 18 and whatnot. And I'll still have one more video after this video, so it's not over now, right? There's still more to be done. The job is not finished. So with this, guys, I do appreciate you guys tuning into this video. If you guys want more videos like this, you guys can vote on my Instagram. I do polls every week, every other week, depending on what I feel like posting. And if you guys want more of a say of what I do, go check that out. Be blessed, everybody.